this got a little bit out of hand. Hey everyone, Red Rebel Jeff Jones here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the stabbing that took place in Dublin city centre the other day, as well as the riots that immediately followed it. Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video to give it a boost, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. On the 23rd of November, a man with a knife attacked a group of young children and their teacher outside the primary school Gaelscoil Coláiste Mhuire in Parnell Square in Dublin. Three of those children and their teacher were injured in the attack. Two of the children have been discharged. They had a really quick recovery. But a 5-year-old girl and the teacher remain in critical condition. Although, as I just before put the camera on to film this, I did see a news report that the teacher's condition has improved. So I do pray for a good and speedy recovery for them. Now, the perpetrator was subdued by several bystanders and arrested by the Gardaí. So what do we know about the man responsible? Okay, this is all we know so far, and this is bits and pieces from different news sources and what Gardaí have described. He's 49 years old, originally from Algeria. Now, he had lived in Ireland for 20 years and became an Irish citizen in 2014. He was staying in a homeless accommodation in Dublin's north inner city. He actually had been to the district court in June of this year, charged with possession of a knife and criminal damage to a car. So this guy clearly had previous for this. And the Garda Commissioner, Drew Hart, described the attack as a standalone attack and stated that they don't believe that it was terrorism related. Now, a Garda superintendent also said that no other individuals were wanted by the Gardaí in connection with the attacks. Now, I do want to mention something about one of the bystanders that intervened. He was a Deliveroo driver, Ko Benicio. I do hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He used his motorbike helmet as a weapon to strike the perpetrator and did a bit of damage. Some news reports saying that the perpetrator, has brain damage that could be permanent. So I'm going to leave that where it is, but I was hitting pretty hard with that thing to do that, but good on him, because this guy was doing some nasty stuff. And Benicio was brave enough to fight back. Good on you, mate. Now, I will also mention something else, because I do think this has to be one of the most Irish things ever. A GoFundMe campaign was started the day after the attack to, and I quote, buy Ko Benicio a pint. And in less than 24 hours, it raised over €300,000. That's going to be one big pint. Now, let's get into the aftermath of the stabbing, because I think that's where a lot of people spent a lot of their focus, including the mainstream media. And I think kind of the way both themselves and the government have reacted to this is really stupid. Now, first I want to preface this by saying I do condemn the riots 100%. And the reason I'm condemning them is because nothing good ever gets achieved by rioting. Look at the Black Lives Matter riots that took place in 2020. Nothing good was achieved and a lot of bad was done, including to black communities, which isn't something that I want to talk about. But, okay, what was the damage caused by the riots? And there was quite a bit. There was around 60 Gardaí assaulted, 3 of whom were seriously injured, and I do pray for their good and speedy recovery. There were 48 arrested as of the 25th of November. In terms of actual property damage, there were 13 shops looted or damaged. 4 buses were destroyed. A Lewis tram was destroyed, and 11 Garda vehicles were damaged or completely destroyed. And of those 48 that were arrested, 32 have been charged. I want to go into what the government and the media immediately called them afterwards. They immediately called the entire thing as a far-right riot. Now, there were some far-right guys in there. I completely disagree with them. I hate the far-right. They're anarchists. And I think anarchy is a stupid thing. And I think they're effing morons if they think that it'll get them anywhere. I don't think those who were anti-immigration, which were a lot of people there, I think those people and the rioters, I do separate them. And the reason I separate them is that the rioters, when I look at the footage, seemed more opportunists than anything else. And there are some videos of the protesters that were peaceful actually going at the rioters. And some of the rioters, we actually found out later, were immigrants themselves. So I don't think that whole thing of, oh, they're all far right being, that the whole thing was far right and anti-immigrant, including the rioters, that doesn't really hold up, I don't think. Now, the government responded by renewing its push for hate speech laws. Now, I've talked about that before on this channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description of the video. The Minister of Justice, or the Minister of Injustice as I call her, Helen McEntee, and the Garda Commissioner Drew Harris have been faced with calls to resign. And Helen McEntee, the Minister for Injustice, is facing a no confidence vote from the opposition leaders Mary Lou McDonald and her party Sinn Féin. There's a conversation around immigration that needs to happen, and about different sections of immigration: legal immigration, illegal immigration, and refugees. I think they're separate sections of the conversation, but they all need to happen. Every country has a right and need to control how many people come into the country and how they come into the country. First, I'm going to go with the legal immigrants. I have no problem with legal immigration. If they want to come into the country, be part of the country, be part of society, be part of the culture, be part of the community, and contribute to the economy as well. If they want all that, welcome. There is a need to control the numbers and how many should be brought in, how much or how little needs to be brought in. That's a conversation that needs to happen. But the conversation is just blanket, oh, we must accept everyone that comes in. Which I think is a stupid argument, I think. Now, illegal immigration, that needs to be stopped really wholeheartedly, because a lot of illegal immigrants do drain the system. Not all of them. Some of them do want to be part of Ireland, but again, the issue is when they do enter the country illegally, they're skipping the queue for legal immigrants trying to get in. And It's not just Ireland that has this problem, by the way. The UK has this problem. America has this problem especially. And actually, there is a conversation that House of Representative and Republican Party member Dan Crenshaw had with Trevor Noah. And that was a good interview. I'll actually put that link into the description as well if you want to watch it. It's really good. And a good chunk of it has to do with immigration, and I think Dan Crenshaw phrases it really well. Now let's talk about refugees. Refugees are different from economic migrants. What's the difference? First off, economic migrants come in to try and improve their lives. Fair enough. Refugees are escaping war or persecution from their home country. One way you can tell the difference, and this is actually a way that the Irish government isn't taking any notice of, is that refugees have to stop at the first safe country they land in. So if they go from France to Ireland, they can't be considered refugees. And this is actually under the UN definition of refugees. So, and I'm not a big fan of the UN organisation. I think it's pretty much garbage at this point, but I think they've got that part right, that definition. But yet that kind of definition is kind of being ignored these days. Now a country should take in refugees and support them. But it should only take in as many as it can actually support. If it takes in more than that, then some of those won't get supported, and that's almost being cruel to them as well. And I think the government's claim that, we have an international obligation to bring in as many refugees as possible, that claim is, I think, both false and I think quite disingenuous. Because false because they don't have an obligation to bring in as many. The obligation, I think, is, from what is out there, that the obligation is that as many as you can take, as many as you can support. That's not what the Irish government is doing, and I think it's actually causing quite a bit of harm to a lot of the refugees that are coming here. So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. And if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. I think the stabbing was horrible. I do wish all the victims a good and speedy recovery, as I've said. I do wish the perpetrator was prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I think when it comes to the riots that took place afterwards, and there's something, I think the fact that the case around Aisling Murphy, who was killed by an immigrant, that had just finished. So I think that increased the tensions going into this, and then this happens, and an Algerian man, yes, he's in the country for 20 years, but was an immigrant, and pretty much from what we know, he was in the same kind of situation that the murderer of Aisling Murphy was. Not contributing to society, not contributing to the economy, and rather just sponging off it. A conversation around immigration needs to happen, and it needs to be sensible, and I think both sides need to be heard here, and I think the government's reluctance to hear both sides is a great example of not just the corruption within the government, but also kind of the authoritarian nature and the tyrannical nature of the Irish government. Like, we don't live free here. I mean, what'll happen to this channel when the hate speech law comes in? I don't know. I'm actually quite nervous about it.